How we doing, guys? So what we're going to be working on today is I took a little bit of video on me in real time working on the bottoms of my feet prepping for my training session. So this is sped up a little bit, but you're going to see a couple different methods here and a couple different sections of the foot that we're going to be working on. So I kind of work my way. I start from the heel and front side of the plantar fascial tendons here, and then I work into the pad. So one thing you want to do while you're working into the pad is you want to be able to start, as you see here, I'm keeping the heel down on the ground. I'm trying to pry that knee forward and put stretch on the calf. And I'm trying to create some dexterity with my toes here and trying to create some better ranges of motion while my calf is actually loaded. And this becomes really important because your foot needs to be grabbing the ground while you're squatting and when you're deadlifting and when you're running and when you're doing other types of activities. So it needs to be able to grab in multiple directions. It needs to be able to grab in the base of a squat. This is where a lot of people lose their bottom of their squat. They're out of their range on their feet. They're out of their range on their calf. Their feet are weak. Their calves are weak, whatever it might be, because they've never actually used them properly. Now, most people's feet are super gummed up, and you see a lot of people who have ankle, knee, and hip problems. They're normally slightly rolling in or outward on their ankles, and there's a lot of weird deviations going up the line. So this is something we really want to address at the beginning of a lot of our sessions, is not even just digging at the feet for therapeutic purposes and opening everything up to better ranges, but proprioception wise, digging at your feet. There are thousands and thousands of little sensors in the bottom of your feet. This little aggressive digging that you're putting into the bottom of your feet is waking up those little sensors. So now you're a little more proprioceptively ready to actually make fine adjustments and everything. You know where each part of your foot is. You know where each part of that arch is. You know each one of those digits of the feet are. And this becomes really important, especially because a lot of these tendons and stuff that sit at the back of the heel, especially if you work a sedentary job, if you sit for long periods of time, if you stand for long periods of time, whatever it might be, these tendons here that attach back at the heel become very, very rigid, especially from being in shoes for long periods of time. So you can see there's multiple different things that you can do here. Here I'm doing a little bit more of a toe-loaded stretch, trying to dig into that calf. The one that I say is probably the biggest one here is what you're seeing about to do. This is probably the most important out of all of these, because this is the most functional portion of this, where you're actually working, you're trying to get your shin muscle stronger, and a lot of those extensors at the top of on the top of the shin and outside of the calf that normally are really tight and really gummy, and all these areas people get shin splints in and ankle and calf problems in. Want to make sure we're really trying to open that up. And next we're going to look here. This is going to be our first progression. This is going to be the first thing in the warm-up from yesterday. And I did 2 rounds of each of these, and then I moved into my training. So everything nice and quick. So this is not my own pattern here, but I like this one very, very much, just for getting into the obliques, getting into the adductors, creating stability, learning how to work independently through each one of the hips. And the key here is, as you march, to try and slow down your motion. So you want to try and almost widen your range and almost do a hurdle hip as you do this. And try to keep the other leg nice and stable. Keep the glute locked in, keep the toe locked into the ground, keep the thigh firing. And then here we're going to work into a different progression. This is our next step up. We're going to do our hurdle step to step through and then step back with the same side. So we're hurdling through, stepping through, and then stepping back on the same leg. So everything's one-sided through the entire step through process. And you're still trying to pull the shoulders and ribs down and turn the elbows forward and not let the hips deviate, and find those obliques, find the stacked rib cage. Make sure that you're integrating through the middle of the foot. You're firing through the glute, hamstring, adductor. This is a good walk around. It's a good prep, especially for squatting and deadlifting. I kind of swap in and out different things each week based on where I'm noticing that I have deficiencies in, and the same thing is done with clients. So this is just a little bit to show you guys what I'm going through personally, and a little bit work on the feet. Give it a try. Let me know what you think.